Hello social media land. I am normally talking to the parents of the children, but for this video I'm going to be talking directly to the teenage children out there, of parents who maybe want them to have a bit more of an education on safety online and generally when it comes to technology. So a quick trigger warning in the intro. I am going to be talking about my past and why I have the experience I have to be sat here talking to you about the subject, and it is going to talk about a subject of child pornography, child abuse. So for any people who want to skip the intro, then please check the timings in the description, but I would urge you to listen, just so you understand why some old bloke on the internet is chatting to you at all about this subject. Yeah, so that's just for you to be aware. So anyway, I'm Dale. I served 22 years in the Royal Air Force as a policeman. Went all over the world, did lots of cool things, so a lot of experience with that sort of stuff. But it wasn't until the last 8 years of my career that I got into computers, something that I spent my life around, being a geek. So for kids out there, being a geek isn't such a bad thing, and there's a lot of requirement for it these days, so it's not a bad career to get into. But part of that career was, as a policeman, I had to investigate criminal things that were happening on the internet, that was being done by people in the MOD, and that involved having to look at some very nasty things, and without going into detail, things that shouldn't be out there, and things that involved children for one. So this is why I'm talking to you directly, and want you to understand where this is coming from. It comes from a very pure place, and a very deep place to me, to help protect you, because I remember being a young teenager, and I remember thinking that I knew everything, and it wasn't until I got older I realized that I knew very little. So I'm not here to patronize you. I'm not here to to get on your back about these things. I just want to give you the information so that you are prepared for what's out there. And I'm not here to scare you or scaremonger you either, because that's not what I'm about. So yeah, I'm going to give you the information, and I'm going to hopefully help you to be better prepared for what you might deal with out on the internet and in life in general. So as I say, I did that job for 6 or 7 years before I got very ill in the mind, and I have what's called post-traumatic stress disorder. I have very complex PTSD, and it's very severe, and it will be with me for the rest of my days, because it's chronic. So it's a big negative in my life, but it came from doing a job which had a big positive in my life and helped me to protect children, to unmask sexual predators who were out there, and bring them to light. So there is a positive to it, and I want to build on that positive by doing these videos and educating, because if we educate, then we start to eradicate the problem. And it is a big problem, and it's something that is fueled by the fact that a lot of you guys probably don't know what's really out there. So hopefully this is something that will help, because the last thing I want is for you guys to become the subject of someone else's trauma in the future, because there's a lot of people like me who have to do the job that I did, and they all suffer in varying degrees because they have to deal with that imagery. So I don't want you to become part of that process either. I'm going to split the rest of the video into sort of 2 age groups. So because I know that teenagers are very different at both opposite ends of the age scale. So first half of it is going to be about 11 to 13 year olds, and then the second half will be for or 14 plus. So young adults, when responsibility and trust, it becomes an even bigger part of your lives, especially between you and your parents. And hopefully I'll explain some of the reasons why your parents take actions that you might think are very unfair, but they're there for a reason. And whether you accept that or not is entirely up to you, because as I say, you're becoming young adults, and it's at that age you need to start realizing such, and accepting help where it's given if you see the benefits of it. So yeah, 11 to 13. Communication is probably one of the biggest things, and if your parents have been watching my other videos, they'll know that I bang on about this a lot, and about talking and having the conversation with you guys, and it's very important at the early stages, because most of the social media sites, apps, that sort of thing, they all have a minimum age of 13. But I know, everybody knows that kids are on there from a lot earlier with parental consent. So that's where the communication and the conversation has already begun, because your parents should have given you that consent after a conversation with you. So they should tell you already where they want you to be going, what sites they want you to be going to, and also about the sort of things that you might come across on those sites. And the thing is that there's a lot of, this isn't just about naughty images or things like that. It's also about things to do with bullying online. There's a lot of bullying these days, especially on social media, and you may feel either you are bullied, or you're being drawn into, peer pressure wise, you're being drawn into bullying others. And it's no different from in real life. You shouldn't be doing that sort of stuff. You shouldn't be bullying other people for a start, because you may think that it makes you big and clever at the minute, and you may think it's good fun, but bullying has caused a lot of serious issues in the past for people, not just giving them depression or anxiety or other things like that, but some kids have been bullied to the extent where they've taken their own lives, and that's not something you see or in the news regularly. You may not hear it, but it happens, and it's the first thing I would say to education is the fact that you need to know about those things, and that those are some of the consequences of actions. So these are the conversations that I've in other videos chatted to the parents and said that they should have these conversations. So hopefully they've already started that with yourself. They'll probably want to agree boundaries with you as well about what you are allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, and that's not to try and stop you from doing things that are fun. It's about trying to protect you from things that at your young age can be dangerous, and can harm you. So don't take it as them trying to take away your fun. Take it as advice that's based on a lot of experience, because as you've seen, and as I've mentioned, I'm very old, so I've seen all these things. I've seen what can happen when it goes wrong, and use my experience so you don't have to experience those bad things yourself. They'll probably be putting things like parental controls on your internet and on your phone and stuff, and it's protection, because these are the sort of things that can be there all the time to protect you, whereas your parents can't be there all the time to protect you. So things like not being able to use the internet after a certain time, you may think oh, they're just trying to ruin my fun. They're not. They're trying to protect you, because at that time of night, that's when predators, that's when bad people are trying to get you to do things. So there is a reason. I won't go into the detail of it, because I'm not here to harm you any more than life may already do. So just take my word for it that there's bad people out there trying to do bad things, and this helps to protect you from that. The Parental controls. So age ratings is another one. A lot of games that you might see for phones, apps, that sort of thing, or social media sites, or websites, video games, that sort of thing. They all have age ratings, and I know that a lot of kids probably think they're just there for boring reasons. And for video games, I think that comes back to your communication with your parents and what they feel is suitable for you. But for things like apps and the like, it's not just about content. It's also about some of the activities that it relates to. So again, they are there for a very good reason, and I think it's down to how you discuss this with your parents and how educated and informed you are on those apps or social media sites. And how much supervision you get, whether you can use them or not. My sister regularly has chats with me about apps that are available for my nephew and godson Charlie, and I will do some research into it, and then I'll have an open chat with her, and she generally takes my advice, which is nice. But it's based on experience, and again, I come back to my reasons for wanting to help protect you are very good. And based on things that I've seen in the past. So try to adhere to those sort of age ratings, because they are there to help you. Social media, pros and cons to social media. As I've already sort of mentioned, there's the ability to be bullied on there, and there's the ability to become the bully. There's ability to become the victim or the target of people who want to do bad things to you, and there are ways to try and protect yourself against that, but the first person to help protect themselves is you. And if you see something that you're not comfortable with, or you asked something that you're not comfortable with, speak to your parent, or speak to a responsible adult, a teacher, speak to a friend you trust, but speak to someone, because if you try to keep it secret to yourself, that's exactly what the bad person wants. The bad person wants you to keep it secret, because then they can push things further, and then you just get into a very bad place where you think you definitely can't speak to anyone, but you can always talk to someone, whether that be a parent, a friend, or an adult, or the police. They're all options for you. Don't think you're on your own. Always try and speak to someone if you think something's happening that shouldn't be, and that, I think, is the main message from me in this whole section, would be that there's always someone to talk to, no matter what you think you've done. Whether you think you've done a bad thing, you probably haven't, so just speak to someone. Social media, just be as you would be in the normal world that you're in. Don't talk to people in a way that you wouldn't talk to in person, and just be kind to other people, because you never know what another person might be going through at a certain time. You all have bad days, where you might feel that everyone hates you, or you've done a bad thing, or you feel lonely, and everyone goes through those times. So you might be making it worse for someone else by not taking care of what you're saying or what you're doing. And just be careful of what you post on there as well, but I'll come on to that in a second. So there's some simple rules. The first one would be personal information. It's called personal for a reason, because it's stuff about you that only your close friends or relatives should know. So it's not the sort of stuff that you just give out online. Things like your email address or your phone number especially. These are direct access to you as a person. So you wouldn't necessarily, go out in a car and drive around and tell everyone your phone number and, put it on bits of paper that you would put up all around the streets of your town, and because you wouldn't want everyone getting in touch with you, because you know that's probably going to be really annoying for a start. If everyone starts ringing you at the same time, it's going to get annoying, and also it means you've lost control over that ability. You want to be able to control who gets in touch with you, outside of social media. You want to keep hold of that key that says, yeah, I trust you. I trust you a lot. I want you to be able to talk to me whenever, So keep that sort of information close to yourself, because you want it to be for people who matter. So the internet is not the place to put stuff, because once you put it online, it's there forever. You might delete things, but it's still there. And as I taught my wife the other day, websites and things on websites may go down, but there are ways to go and find them. So everything you put online, it stays online. Remember that. And once you press the button to send and it goes, your control over it is no more. Anyone can share that afterwards. So they could be sharing that with all sorts of people in all sorts of areas. So don't do it, because you'll get lots of phone calls you don't want, or lots of emails you don't want. It's always better to talk to people face to face. In the first instance, you want to meet people, and because social development, especially at your age, is very important, because it's how you'll be for the rest of your life, making relationships with people, becoming friends with people, and becoming lifelong friends with people. And that all starts the first time you meet, the first time you talk. So be wary of people you meet on the internet, because you could be talking to anybody. They might say that they're little Jimmy, 12 years old, from Scotland, but it could actually be, Donald, 52, from Wisconsin in America. And that's something to be aware of. People lie on the internet. People lie a lot on the internet. So you're better to meet people who your friends at school, your family and cousins and stuff. You meet them in person. Then once you've built that relationship with them, then you give them your email address or your phone number, and your social media tag, and they can carry on that. You can carry on that relationship online and see each other in person. But it's better to have that real life interaction rather than just on the internet. So it's seen as healthier, and it's seen as healthier for a reason, because as I say, there's lots of bad on the internet, as well as lots of good things on the internet. Privacy settings, hopefully your parents will help you with that. I've done some other videos on how to do that, but yeah, use the privacy settings on all the apps you use, all of the social media that you use. You basically want to have the highest privacy settings, because you don't want to, that picture of you at your party or you with your friends, you maybe don't want to show that to the whole world, because it's a private moment between you and your friends. It's something that you and your friends enjoyed. So things like that should be kept to you and your friends, and people that you know and trust. So keep your privacy settings high, and you won't go too far wrong. Boundaries we spoke about just before, and it's the same with regards to this, that you making new friends online, just be aware that you don't know who they are until you've met them. And if you ever were to meet them, that should be under the supervision of your parents, not on your own. Never go and meet someone on your own who you've met solely online. That's very dangerous, and it results in very bad things happening. Again, not going to go into detail, but if your parents choose to have that discussion with you, they will explain why it's such a bad idea to go and meet someone who you've met online, especially in secret. Which leads on to the next point, actually, about meeting people in real life, which I think I've just mentioned. Very, very bad. Don't do it. Really bad. Don't do it without, speaking to your parents. Communicate with your parents. Ask their advice. If they think it's appropriate, they'll probably, for the first time, go with you. But never keep it a secret, and always speak to someone, whether that be your parents, a friend, or a responsible adult teacher, whoever. I think if you get advice from them, they'll tell you themselves how bad it is to go and do that without without thinking about it. The next bit is more about your device safety. So your phone, your computer, your tablet, however you're using it to watch this video, these are all things that you want to keep secure. So these are things that you have data on there, information that's precious to you. You might have, you know, text messages or pictures of family moments or pictures of moments with your friends. These are all very precious to you, okay? You know that. You know you love looking at them, you love reading them. So don't go downloading things from sites like music or games or stuff like that, apps that aren't from the actual site. Because again, there's lots of bad people, and these kinds of bad people want your information. So they put malware and viruses and bad things inside these things that you download. You then basically are infecting your device, and they have control then, and they can take all your stuff that you want, and they can delete it from your device, so you lose it forever. And I'm pretty sure you can imagine how bad that would feel, right? If you lost all of your photos of you and your friends and you could never get them back. You don't want to do that, because you'll be very, very sad. And I'd be sad if that happened to me. So I'm very careful about what I download onto my stuff, because if it's free for a reason. If you're supposed to pay for it, then pay for it. If someone offers you something that's normally paid for free, there's probably an ulterior motive. They're probably looking to get control of your stuff. So don't do that. When you're out and about, that also goes for attachments in emails. Unless it's from someone you really trust, I say never click on links in emails or text messages. Never click on attachments if it's not something you're expecting. Because these can often contain those same viruses that will give someone control over all of your information. Bad, don't do it. The Wi-Fi, so when you're out and about, I mean, I use Wi-Fi when I'm out and about, but I use secure Wi-Fi, so there are ways to do that on phones. It's best to use official sort of Wi-Fi, like in school and that, but always check which one you're connecting to, because lots of people will set up fake Wi-Fi, which basically helps them to get to your information again. So just be careful when you're out on public Wi-Fi, or use your phone data. That's what it's there for, and it's secure. And if you're using your phone data and not the Wi-Fi, the likelihood is that you're going to be safe. So I would say probably just use that. I think this next point is related to one that I've just mentioned before, about putting stuff online, and the fact that when you click send, it's gone. You lose control of it. So you may think it's, or peer pressure may make you think it's cool to send pictures of yourself, selfies and the like. If that picture isn't one you'd be comfortable to show your parents or show all of your friends or have your teacher see, then don't send it. Because once you send that picture, your control, your ability to see where it goes and who it goes to is gone. And it could be that it then starts to appear on all your friends' phones at school. All of your social media connected friends, they start to put it on their wall. If you don't want that to happen, then don't send the picture. Is the best bit of advice I can give you. And people that you might think you trust now to send that picture to, whether that be boys or girls, or what have you, people that you might fancy, you might think that sending this picture to them will make them like you more. Nothing can be farther from the truth, and this is based on experiences that I've seen and dealt with. This is the sort of stuff that can lead to bad things happening to people. So the reason I say that is because it's important you understand that. Don't Don't send anything you wouldn't be comfortable with everyone seeing, because then you can't be blackmailed, you can't be made to do something you don't want to do, and you can't be made to feel really terrible because of it. So yeah, just take that bit of advice, if you take any, that you don't need to do that. You should never be pressured into having to do that. And at your age, you know, it's just not right for that to happen. So just be careful. The last bit I think is just around the conversation thing, and the fact that you should always feel able to go to people for advice. There's different people that you could go to for advice, and there's lots of things online that you can go to that will give you good advice. Like internetmatters.org is a very good website for safety online, which it does surround sort of kids and children and teenagers, young adults, that sort of thing, and parents. So there are places to go for advice if you don't feel you can ask, your parents. But I would just say that it's better to do that than to keep something secret. Like I said at the start, just talk to someone, seek advice, know how to block people online, because if someone starts to try and bully you, you can block them. Very easy to do on all platforms. On your phone, it's very easy to block people. Don't get drawn into that sort of online fight, because nobody ever wins an online fight. It's just stupid. So know how to do that. Know how to report people if they do something that's not right, because there are ways for that to then be investigated and dealt with. If you do get upset by something you see online, talk to someone about it, and look to see what next steps you can take. There are lots of bad things on the internet, and if you do come across them, then you need to know what to do and who to talk to, because you're not on your own. You're never on your own, and you can even to the point where you can send an email to me, or you can drop a comment on here, and I'll try and talk about it in future videos or stuff. But there's lots of organizations out there that can help you at your age, and moving forward, to try and help you. And yeah, peer pressure, I think I explained, it's the same in the playground as it is online. Just don't get drawn into peer pressure or doing things that you wouldn't feel comfortable doing normally. Just because your friends say it's a good thing doesn't mean it's a good thing. And the older you get, the more you'll realize that things that seemed like a good idea at one point really weren't. But yeah, I think for that side of things, 11 to 13, I think that covers it. So I'm going to move on now to the older among you, the 14 plus, the young adults, who, from my memory and what I was like, I literally knew everything. Nobody could teach me anything, and if they tried, then they were just wrong. So that probably hasn't changed. I mean, I think I'm still like that now. But as I said at the beginning, I want to try and give you the information that will help you make decisions. We all make bad decisions in life. We all make mistakes in life, and we generally will learn from them. And I hope that you can learn from what I've seen, so you don't have to make them yourself. It becomes slightly more important for you at your age, because I'll come on to, but yeah, the communication thing, it's a thread. I like to bore people by talking about it, but I'm going to do the same for you. You need to keep communicating. You need to talk to people about things. If you don't understand it, if you feel uncomfortable with it, if it's something that isn't right, then talk to someone. The same list of people goes for you guys, in that you can speak to your parents, you can speak to relatives who you trust, speak to your friends, but generally speak to responsible friends who know what they're talking about, or at least aren't crazy and do things that are crazy. So seek advice from responsible adults, teachers. Teachers are amazing people. My wife Colleen, she for many years has been a teaching assistant that deals with SEN kids, and she has so much information in her head that it blows me away. Some of this stuff that she will advise kids on and teach them. So yeah, teaching assistants, teachers, they're all very smart people. You may hate them at times, but they have your best interest at heart. So if you go to them and ask them for advice on something, I will bet you a load of money that they'll give you the right advice or know someone who can. So yeah, communicate always. Now you're getting to the age where you probably are starting to think about the future and what you want to be, and it might not be the old days of you want to be a space man, woman, fireman, or a policeman. You may actually want to do a different job now that you've not thought of. So you're getting to the point where you're starting to think about your career going forward, and this is where, if you haven't followed the advice from before, then you could find yourself finding it very difficult to get a job. Because one thing that prospective employers will do these days, they won't just interview you. They won't just do it like in the old days. We just had interviews, and we would go to an interview and we would put our best face on and get the job. Yeah, brilliant. These days they do that, but they also go and check your social media footprint. So if you've been that person, yeah, who has put all sorts of photos of themselves online, doing all sorts of silly things, if you've been saying stupid things online, or racist things, or you've been seen to be a bully, or any of those bad things, they're online, they see them. Are they going to give you a job? Probably not. Are they even going to give you an interview? Doubt it. Because the person you are online is a direct representative of you as a real person. But we all do stupid things. We all say stupid things. Luckily in my day there was no social media, so all the stupid things I said and did were in the moment. They're gone and will not come to bite me in the bum. You, on the other hand, if you've plastered them all over the internet and then thought, delete that, yeah, I better delete those, probably still there somewhere. But you need to think about what you put online, because it does it these days. Politicians will often, or famous people will often, have things found out that they said 20 or 30 years ago, and it will still affect them now. And it's one of those things that you just need to think twice before you hit send. In what I do now, the job I work now, one of the things that a lot of us do is we will put a timer on our email messages, because even as an old crusty adult like me, you can get angry and you can get annoyed and want to say something that hits back, strikes back. So you'll write an email, click send, and immediately you go, oh, I really shouldn't have done that. So we have brilliant bit of kit, 5-minute delay. In that 5 minutes you go, oh, I can stop it. There we go, we stopped it. So that's almost the way you want to think before you post something online. You want to take that couple of minutes to think, is this really what I want people to see 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when I'm old and crusty like that guy who was on the internet telling me about this? Do I want to be that person? And 9 times out of 10 you're probably going to go, no, I don't think I would say this to that person's face. I don't think I would want my parents to see me say this, or my teacher, or my friend, even my friends. I don't think they want to see me say this. So just be careful about what you put on there, because your online reputation is your reputation. You may think you're separate from that person who posts this stuff. You're not. You are directly linked to that online reputation, and you will be forevermore. So that's probably something you've never realized before, but yeah, once it's on the internet, it's there forever, and they are your words. They are your images. They are your actions, and you will be responsible for them. So just be careful about that. Parental controls, they were there for the 11 to 13 year olds, and they're going to still be there for you guys, because until you are 18 or you've moved out and you are your own person, then your parents have a responsibility to protect you and to help you be protected. So again, it comes back to what I said earlier. They're not doing it to restrict you. They're doing it to put a level of protection in place from other things, because especially at your age, you are susceptible to be targeted by bad people. And by bad people, I mean paedophiles. They see the internet as a hunting ground, and whether you like it or not, you are their prey. And I don't want you to become one of their prey, because as I said in my intro, I've seen what happens when that happens, and no one should ever go through that. No one should ever deal with that. No parent should have to deal with that happening to their child, and no child should have to grow up with that in their history and their mind for the rest of their lives. So know this, that when I say this stuff, it's from a good place. It's not there to make you have less fun, to make you enjoy life less. It's there to allow you to enjoy life and have fun and go forward without that crap in your life. Going to take a little break and then I'll come back. Sorry. Okay, so parental controls. Next, privacy. As I said before, for the 11 to 13 year olds, your privacy controls should be kept nice and high. And it comes back to everyone these days, I think, wants to be an influencer, okay? And what a lot of is what I would say. You know, if you want to be that person, then have a separate account for it, and know that that's what that's for. Don't use your personal social media to become an influencer, because it doesn't happen for a start. You know, all these famously brilliant influencers have probably sold their soul to the world to get to where they are, and it just opens you up to so much trolling, to so much bullying and crap on the internet, that it's really not worth it. You know, keep your relationships small and manageable, and with people that you actually know. But yeah, if you want to do all that other stuff, then do a separate account and know what to release. And it comes back to the advice before. Your personal information is personal for a reason, and people can use it against you if you give out too much. Not just in the fact that they can contact you anytime, they can send you whatever they like, they can add your details to all sorts of lists and stuff that's out there, but they could use it to steal your identity as well for things like financial crime. So you could end up with 100 grand's worth of debt to your name that you have never ever done or used or been associated with, yet you're the one that then has to deal with that and try and make that right. So keep your personal information to yourself for the same reasons that I said before. And staying safe on the move is just as important for yourselves. Use your mobile data. If you run out of mobile data and need to use a Wi-Fi, then make sure you're using a proper Wi-Fi and not just one that's been set up by someone. I very rarely use any Wi-Fi when I'm out, unless I'm using my secure Wi-Fi or my VPN. So I'm old and crusty, as I mentioned before, and I still worry about people getting to my data, my information. So if I'm worried about it, you should probably be worried about yours as well. The simple rules. But before that, I think, just to reiterate, if you wouldn't post a picture that you want your parents to see, or your best friends to see, or your relatives to see, then don't send it to someone on the internet, because if you do, you lose control of it, and then it's all over the place, and then you feel really bad, and this is where people will get blackmailed to do things that they would never think of doing. They feel that they're trapped into the situation where they have to do it, and then you spiral into a world where you really don't want to go, a very dark world that ends with either depression, anxiety, harm to yourself, or ultimately death, because children have done that in the past. Teenagers have done that in the past. They have gone down that rabbit hole, and they have ended up in a place where they thought they could turn to no one, and the last solution for them was to take their own lives. And that really isn't anywhere that you as a young adult want to end up. You always have that option to talk to people, no matter who they are, as long as they're responsible and people you trust. Speak to them, even if it means going to your doctor and speaking to the doctor. You know, there's always people to turn to, no matter how far down the road you think you've gone, and how little choice you think you might have. You have a choice. Please go and seek help. Don't become another statistic in the world. So some simple rules we can just go over. A lot of them are similar to what I've just been through with the 11 to 13 year old bit, and it's things like knowing how to block things, block comments or content, you know, how to report it and block it so you don't see it again. That's the easiest thing on the internet to do. Is there's lots of bad things you probably don't want to see, but you can probably block it or report it and you won't see it again. You have control over that. You have control over who's on. If you've got your settings right, you have control over who's on your Facebook, who is on your Instagram. You have control over what you see from them. Use that control for good things. Use it to protect your mental health, ultimately. Respecting other people is the same online as it is in real life. If you treat someone badly, you can't be blamed. You can't blame when you get treated badly yourself. So one thing I learned many years ago is to treat people the way I wish to be treated myself, and that's just the way I was brought up, and that's how I've been all these many years. And you know, it's just the right thing to do. Don't arrange to meet people online just because you're, you know, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old doesn't mean you have this magical power that means that you can prevent bad things from happening to you by going and secretly meeting someone from online. Because, you know, as I said before, Jimmy aged 15, you know, may in real life be Boris aged 56, and he has very different intentions for the meeting that you're about to go to. So talk to people, let people know about it. They'll probably, you know, go with a friend, go with a couple of friends, or, you know, go with your parents or whatever it is. But go, you know, don't keep it secret, and don't go off and do a secret meeting. That will also end badly, because you've probably never met that person in real life, so you're going off what they've told you online. And everyone, not everyone, that's harsh, most people lie online, so don't take things at face value. Same thing as before, don't download illegal stuff, music and games and stuff, because there's probably something hidden inside that you don't know about. And unless you can reverse engineer malware, look at the code inside and know exactly what it does when it executes, which, to be fair, most of you probably don't know how to do, but I learned it once. I still don't really know how to do it now. So yeah, unless you know what's in there, then you're opening yourself up to all sorts of pain, and control of your devices go to someone off in Eastern Europe somewhere, or in China and Russia, and all your data, poof, gone. If you want it back, you may have to pay money to get it back, or you may just never see it again and it's deleted and gone forever. Don't put yourself in that position. Attachments, pop-ups and stuff, links, unless you can virus scan attachments and have that sort of protection in place, then unless it's from someone you trust, don't open it, don't click on it, for the same reason that man in China, man in Russia wants all your stuff, and you don't want to give that away to them. The communication piece, conversation piece that I mentioned before with the 11 to 13 year olds, exactly the same for you. Just because you're getting older doesn't mean you should stop talking to your parents, doesn't mean you should, doesn't mean that you should stop that whole communication piece, because the communication between you and your parents is what builds that trust, and it means that they can trust you to know what the right thing is and what the wrong thing is, and it means that rather than overly being overbearing with monitoring and parental controls and stuff, they can start to help you to transition into adult life, and taking responsibility for those things yourself. So if you've proven that you talk to them all the time about these things, and you seek their advice, then their likelihood is that they're going to see less reason to impose parental controls or to be worried about you all the time. So yeah, keep the conversation going, and if you find yourself in a position where you think something's not right or something's going wrong, then talk to them. No matter what you think they might think, you'll probably be quietly surprised by the fact that they'll support you and they'll help you through it, and they'll make it right. So many hands make light work. That's such an old saying, and it makes me seem even older, but it's true, because everyone you talk to will give you their opinion, their advice, and all of that advice will then be in your head, and you'll be able to make a decision properly and realize that it probably wasn't as bad as you thought, or it's very easy to fix. Just know how to combat peer pressure, because peer pressure online is probably 10 times worse than it is in real life. But just because someone thinks it's cool to do something doesn't mean it's right. So them asking you to get involved in a bullying campaign on someone, be aware that, as I discussed before, that could end up with someone taking their own life. Do you want to be that person that was involved in that and have that hanging over you for the rest of your life? I think probably not, but at your age you're probably not thinking about consequences that much. There are consequences to actions, and that's a pretty major one. So just be aware of peer pressure, and if it gets to the point where you think it's too much, speak to someone or block people. It's so easy to do, to block people, and then you see nothing from them. And just know how to report things, so inappropriate content, pictures, comments, that sort of thing. Just know how to report that on the site that you're on. And that's pretty much the last point on the 14 plus section. So to wrap up, and I'm sure you're sick of my voice by now, so I'll do a quick wrap up. I have spent many years learning about the bad sides of life, about the dark sides of life, and about the consequences of actions from people. And I have seen the results, and you do not want to be the result of one of these things. So please take the advice that I've given you, not as an adult telling you off, or trying to stop you from having fun or doing fun things. There's plenty of fun things that you can do that don't harm other people and that don't put you in a position of being harmed. I cannot tell you enough how emotional I get talking about this, and that's why I had to take a break earlier, is because I know the advice is solid, I know the advice is good. I just hope that you will take the advice or discuss the advice with your parents, and just realize that we are all trying to protect you and help you to navigate through these years where other people will try and take advantage of you. So yeah, if you do have any questions or comments that you want to reach out to me, there's an email address there in the comments, and my social media is in the comments. But feel free to subscribe and share, and especially share this video among your friends, because the advice is there for your benefit, and hopefully to help you not to become just another statistic in the future. I want you to have a happy childhood, have a happy teenage years, and go out there into the world and smash it. So thanks for listening, and take care all.